Good afternoon, and welcome to this week's edition of Drive Facebook Live. I'm your host, Bob Spitz. Along with me is our co-host, Tony Whistler.
Hello.
And our special guest today is Christoph Schopfer from Euro Motors. Welcome, Christoph.
Hey, Bob.
Nice to see you. And today what we're going to talk about is generational shops or legacy shops, or how to make that transition from ownership to the next generation in your shop. And that's something that Urs, who I've known for many, many years, Christoph's dad and Christoph have been working very successfully at getting that turned over. So Christoph, why don't you just introduce yourself to everybody, where the shop's located, the kind of work you guys do, all of that.
Yeah. So my name's Christoph. I run my dad's shop, or I'm in the process of taking it over. Well into the process of taking it over. My dad started it in 1997. We're in Northern California in the foothills, kind of in between Sacramento, California, and Reno, Nevada, on the Highway 80 corridor.
And it doesn't look like the picture behind him.
No, that's Death Valley. I used to, so we do mostly European cars. Actually, pretty much 95% of our business is European. I worked there in the late 90s before I can even drive cars. And then in high school, I worked for my dad after school, sweeping floors, and kind of worked my way up to a technician role. And I would work there in the summers. But after high school, I didn't want anything to do with working on cars. So I enjoyed it, and I was very mechanically inclined, but I didn't want to work on cars. So I did a bunch of other things. I got my real estate license. I tried that. That was kind of during the market crash.
Bad time to get into it.
Then I thought I wanted to be a pilot, so I got my pilot's license and was flying, and I didn't want to do that anymore, even though I do enjoy flying still. So then I decided to go back to go to college. And I started studying business. I always knew I wanted to own a business. I didn't know what that was yet, what kind of business. And then I ended up studying and got my degree in geography. I switched from business to geography. Right out of college, got a job in that field, loved it. I wanted to pursue some kind of business in that field. This was in 2011, and my dad was expanding. At the time, he was 2,000 square feet. He had 2 technicians, 1 service advisor, and he was the owner/manager, and he wanted to kind of have more free time. So I convinced him to hire me as his manager. And within a year, we purchased some more units next to our building and expanded to what we are now, which is 6,000 square feet. I got about 8 or 9 bays. I got 10 bays and 9 lifts. And it's just grown ever since then. Back in 2017, my dad really started stepping out of the business and traveling a lot. He goes to Europe every year, goes on big ski trips. This last 2 years, I would say, he's not at the shop at all anymore. He'll come in, but he doesn't do any shop work. He does the marketing because he's good at it. And I don't like doing it. And even after I'm well established as the owner, 100% owner, I'm still going to employ him to do the marketing because I think he's
got to have something to do.
Right.
Yeah. So my biggest thing, being younger, I would say, is we've had a huge transitional year this year, but the past 5 years, I really wanted to build shop culture. That was my priority. And to my dad, that wasn't, he's a European, he's Swiss, stubborn, very good business owner. But he didn't see that as a high value. That was way down on his list. For me, that was the high thing on my list. I enjoy the work, but it's still work. Some people say, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. Or, some
Yeah.
people say work to enjoy your life. I say neither is more noble. I'm a firm believer in uh, making sure that you're happy and you're doing something that you enjoy doing. Um, so that was kind of how I started running the business back in, I want to say 2017, when my dad started stepping out of the business. And I've built that culture and it's amazing. And I did have a lot of employees that were, I was the youngest one. And this past year, it's kind of shifted. Um, and I find myself helping my employees more, not just with work, but in their personal lives, achieve their goals and their dreams. As of now, we have 4 technicians, 2 service advisors, and I kind of run it, and then my dad does the marketing.
Mhm.
Um,
Is your
but
mom involved at all?
no, she's not.
Yeah,
Um,
she retired as a teacher, correct?
she still works.
Oh,
She
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 is
works
still
at a
teaching.
yeah, she loves teaching. She works at a school actually really close to the shop, but it's like a home study school. So it's for like people that homeschool their kids.
Uh-huh.
Um, and she assigns them stuff. But she's still working. I think it's part-time. I see them a lot. My parents live, 2 miles from me, in the same town.
Mhm.
Does your father
They
come
help
into the
with my
shop? Excuse me. Does your
he
father
does on
come into the
Mondays.
shop, or does he do all that marketing from home?
He does most of it from home, but he does come into the shop. I've hired people and they've worked for me for, like, I have one technician right now. He worked for me for over a month without even me. He didn't even know who my dad looked like. He never met him. So,
Just the way Earth likes it.
Yeah.
yeah, I've let people go and, I'll go over to my parents for dinner and my dad will ask me how so-and-so is doing. I'm like, that person doesn't work here anymore. So,
Well, we used to joke that your goal was, when you own a shop, is if you're at the shop and a customer comes up and asks, "Do you work here?" You go,
yeah,
Exactly.
no.
that will happen to my dad. Yeah.
So he's
So,
achieved that goal. By the way, John
yeah,
Starkey, one of your fellow 20 group
yeah.
members, says hi.
Yep.
Oh,
He's
nice.
watching.
Hey, John. So I mean, this past year, like I said, was a struggle. I kind of got complacent with the people I had working for me. And they were good, but I lost some of my good techs in the beginning of the year. Um, which was a kind of a wake up call for me.
Mhm.
And this summer we just couldn't keep up. I just didn't have enough hands. But I really built the shop back up and got the best techs, I think, in town. And I'll circle back to that culture thing. I've done a lot of things at the shop that my dad wouldn't have done, doesn't necessarily agree with.
But he
And he
gave you the
does things,
freedom to do it anyway.
yeah. And
That's
it's
great.
really helped me attract, in my opinion, the best technicians in my town. A little over a year ago, I went to 410s. So my technicians have 3-day weekends, every
Now
every
that
single week.
let's visit that just for a second,
Yeah.
because you being in California, that's an interesting business model, because you're
Yeah.
dealing with the 8 hours a day overtime rule. So did you get
No.
an exemption? How did you
Yeah.
get around that?
It's so we're similar to other states in regards to that. Mike Button up in Chico, who's in Northern California as well, he does the same. And he did it longer than me. And he actually has a labor attorney that he talks with. And how it works in California is we have to have an anonymous vote. And if everyone votes to adopt that plan, then we go to that. And everyone said yes.
It has to be unanimous.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And I think majority wins, but we can switch to 410s. And there's no overtime. It's just 4 days, 10 hours a day.
Yeah, other than the 40-hour
Yeah.
federal
And we're
regulation.
closed for an hour for lunch. So we're open 7 to 6. So it's a long day, but it's a longer weekend. So it's very nice. I have one technician that is just a genius. He's young and he is the best technician I've ever had work for me, and he's amazing. And he commutes an hour to my shop because of our culture. And
Oh
and
yeah,
what we
that's
have.
very attractive.
Yeah.
4 days a week, that's
And
very attractive to a young person who can put in the 410s. By the way,
Yeah.
Dave Jenner John says, great job.
Oh, thanks, Dave. Um,
Ah,
and it's very it's the culture and the diversity I have at my shop is just amazing. So as of right now, so I think I said I have the 4 technicians, and then my 2 service advisors. One of my advisors been with me for over 10 years. She's just a great salesperson when it comes to vehicles. The other one's been with me. This will be her 3rd year. And they work really, really well as a team. I have an extremely high average RO. Not extremely high, I'm exaggerating. It's
Well, it's high
high.
because you're European.
Yeah, European, but not only that, they're great at selling. They are very, like I said, my people are very independent, and they are very smart, and so that also comes with challenges. They're not people I can just they want to event they want more for themselves is what I'm trying to
Sure,
say.
they want their input.
Yeah.
They're not
And I know,
just,
for
it's not
example,
the
like,
old days of my way or the highway.
yeah, exactly. That's what I was trying to get to, Bob.
or the robot concept.
Yeah.
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 Oh, by
So,
the way, Adam Jadovitz also says hi.
oh, hey, Adam, down in SoCal. So that's kind of where I've pushed the business to. And I'm not gonna say it was easy. It comes with a lot of struggles. But where we're at now, to go back to where I'm at with purchasing the business from my dad. So originally, I was always under the impression that I was going to buy the business from my dad. I put a lot of things I wanted to do on hold because I had to buy the business from my dad. It was going to cost a lot of money. Travis Saley up in Montana did it a little differently. He's in my top 20 group, and he
Yeah, he's
basically,
another legacy shop.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he's a shop I look up to in my group, but I look up to everybody in my group. Starkey's probably listening. He's got really impressive numbers and what they're doing out in Hawaii. But Travis basically told me, like, why are you purchasing the business from your dad? He's like, it's not good for you, it's not good for your dad. And then I kind of stepped back and was like, yeah, why am I doing it this way? We're a corporation, so what we settled on and the plan I have written up, and it's pretty much finalized, but we just need to sign off on it, is I'm going to be buying the share. I will be gifted 10% of the business every year. 10
Right,
to
he can do
20%.
that
We're
10%.
going to up that. Yeah. My goal is for my dad, for me to be, so on paper, it's going to take a long time, but the agreement I have with my dad is in 3 years, I will be the full owner, like 100%. The shop's mine. It also works out for my dad as well. So, the biggest thing I would probably say for people buying a business, and my group really helped me with this, is you need to find out, like, what your parent wants or what your kid wants if you're passing it on to your kid. What I thought my dad wanted and what he actually wanted were 2 completely different things. So,
Yeah, it's a good thing to talk.
so then, yeah, we get that. This is what he needs. This is how I'm going to give it to him. And then I rewrite my plan. I come back. Okay, we got to tweak this a little different. But at the end of the day, I'm basically going to be taking care of my parents, financially for the next 10 years or so. And even, past that, that was a
Sure.
big concern. A big concern for my dad was, my mom, um, you know, and what would happen if something were to happen to him, and he wants her to be taken care of. And the way my parents raised me is, I'm not going to abandon my parents. And I think that's a big fear that my dad has still. is like I can just, when I own the business, I can just say no, you don't get anything else. And so that's why
It'd be pretty
we're getting
cold.
stuff. Yeah. And I mean that has happened with other businesses, auto shops, you know. And my dad sees that, I think, and he has that fear. Um, I can say until I'm blue in the face that that's not going to happen, but he, you know, we still need something in writing, and a plan. And
Sure, absolutely.
yeah,
And
and
just get
like,
it in writing and then everybody's happy.
yeah,
By
like
the
for
way,
example,
you have some more 20 group members that want to say hi. Brandon Lancaster is watching.
oh, from
And
Colorado.
yeah, and Chuck Wachowski from
Oh, hey, Chuck.
Pittsburgh.
I've been to his shop in Philly. Yeah,
Yeah, no, Pittsburgh, other side of the
Pittsburgh. Yeah,
state. Yeah.
yeah. Oh,
And
sorry.
Dennis Goodhue,
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
Yes.
And Dennis Goodhue from Colorado.
Oh, Colorado. I was at his shop 6 months ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's been pushing some impressive numbers in our group. Just stellar.
Well, you guys have
Yes.
got one heck of a 20 group.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much where we're at. I'm running the business the way I want it ran. Um, we've with the amount of people we have now, our payroll's very high. And our sales are not as high as I would like them to be. Um, and it's a lot of stress, and I can see my dad stressed out about that, even though he's disconnected from the shop. But I think more so it's making him want to get out even more.
Mm.
Doesn't want to deal with that, because I feel like the burden has been on me, and I enjoy it because I don't enjoy the burden, but I enjoy, running the business.
Yeah, and the challenge.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I mean, it'll afford me to be able to do I'm already doing the things that I want to do, but more so do more. I too like to travel around the country I got two small boys, 5 and 9, and my wife's a high school teacher. She's a staple in the community. We live in a really small town, and so am I. I'm involved with Lions Club. I'm involved with my kids' school. I'm often away from the shop helping with that. I coach soccer. Um, everybody in town knows me or my wife in some shape or another. So as I own the business, my wife will own it as well, but she
Right.
will not be involved. She's not going to go into the shop or any of that stuff. She's got her own thing going. She runs the
She's got
whole
her own
used
game,
department.
similar to your
Yeah,
mom.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So my wife is a very, very intelligent human being, and she helps me a lot with the business. Very recently, as in yesterday, I have a conflict between two employees, as we all do. And it was near the end of the day, and I'm going to be addressing it Monday, and I just didn't really know how to go about doing that. And we talked last night, and the things she said, I was like, why did I not think of that? Like that's
Great.
so that's a huge help. She usually goes to the top 20 on-site meetings with me, and she sees the other shops and how they're run. So that's also a huge help.
Yeah. Speaking of top 20, Adam Jadovitz says hi.
Yes, down
Another down
yeah.
in Lake Elsinore.
Yeah.
Yeah, another shop that's in the middle of succession.
Yes. Oh, really?
Yeah.
He's turning it over to his manager,
Manager. Oh, I met her. He brought her
Brittany.
out. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Brittany.
Yeah. Really, really nice person. Yeah. She seemed like a good fit for his shop.
Oh, I think she is, most
Yep.
certainly. So I
Yeah.
don't know who's luckier, you or your dad. You get an opportunity
Yeah.
to walk into an established business. Your dad is an opportunity to turn it over to someone he trusts and loves.
Yeah.
That's just a great dynamic there.
And about a year ago, so it wasn't always that way, Bob.
Or was
and
it always that way?
no, my 20 group can attest to this. About a year ago, the succession wasn't really going anywhere. And I was to the point where I wanted to be a business owner, as a lot of these owners are that are probably listening. And I was ready to go start my own thing. I just wanted, and everyone's like, that would be really difficult. That would be hard. That would set you back 5 years or whatever. But in my mind, that's what I wanted to do. I was ready, and I had that conversation with my dad, and and that's kind of what got the ball rolling, I think. But then also my dad has been able to afford time wise to do more of what he loves to do, and so
So
to
you
be
had
able
to
to
get
do
your
that,
dad to start letting go.
yeah, exactly.
That's a
So
hard thing to do.
Does
yeah.
he have something else that he enjoys doing outside of the shop?
Oh yeah, he loves skiing. He got me and my brothers into it at a young age. We were all very successful ski racers, actually, as well. Um, back in the day. And then, but he still enjoys doing that. He just went on a big trip to Jackson Hole, all over Montana, not all over Montana, mostly southeast Montana and into Idaho. And he goes on trips with my mom all the time. And then the other side of it is he's got two grandkids, right here. He picks them up from school. He helps me out a lot. He picks them up from school twice a week, and they'll babysit and that kind of stuff. So I guess that's his other hobby. And then my brother's got a daughter. He lives like an hour away. So he's got his grandkids and
Well,
Well,
that's good.
skiing.
it doesn't sound like he really misses the business if he's only coming in once a week.
Yeah.
You know,
And when he comes in, I don't know what he does. Honestly, I think he mostly does personal things. I think he just to get out of the house.
or just to come see the shop, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we'll talk. I went over there last Friday. And we were discussing various things going on in the business, and he's very much in the loop and kind of knows what's going on for the most part. But a lot of the changes I do, he's not involved with them. But it is also nice to get his feedback. He'll tell me like, "Hey, I noticed this," and I'll think about it and be like, "Oh, yeah, I how did I not notice that?" You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Well, there's
he'll
a huge
notice
difference
things.
between
Yeah,
there's a huge difference between somebody who has tons of knowledge and can offer advice, and then the person who is still trying to somewhat control things. And when you're the one on the receiving end, it's a huge difference. It sounds to me like you guys have created something very special, where he's there for you for the knowledge and the wisdom, but he's not telling you necessarily what to do.
that's exactly how it is.
Yeah.
He'll offer his insight, but he doesn't expect me to follow it. We've actually been butting heads a lot on the 410 thing for the
Oh,
longest time.
but you won.
What?
But
You
you
won.
won that game.
Oh yeah, no, he still thinks it doesn't work, and
Oh.
and he's kind of right, 10% right, I would say. It's just you got to run your business differently, and so he gave me some insight on some stuff the other last week when I met with him, and I'm like, yeah, that is a good point. I didn't see that. And
Well,
then
it's very difficult to be alone. And, we have an old joke. The wonderful thing about owning your own business is there's no one there to tell you what to do. And the horrible thing about owning your own business is there's no one there to tell you what to do. Right.
Exactly.
yeah,
So you've got your coach, Carla, right?
yeah,
Carries a big stick,
yeah.
but you've got your 20 group, and talk about your 20 group a little bit.
Yeah, well, as you know, the 20 groups, we all meet every Tuesday. When I say we all, mostly my group. So I got John Starkey in my group. He's in Hawaii. He wasn't a technician, he's a business guy. I got
Yeah, he's an
Travis.
entrepreneur.
up in Montana. Same thing there. He wasn't a technician. He was a business guy. I got Brian Belante. He's in California. He's got 3 shops. He's developing a shop in Idaho for later when he sells. I think he's going to sell those 3 and just move to Idaho
Move up to Idaho.
and do that. Yeah. I got Dennis Goodhue in Montrose, Colorado. He's got a really, really awesome shop. And I got Mike Button in Chico. So he's Northern California as well. So it's really nice having 3 California guys because we have to deal with different laws
Mhm.
than everybody else. So, and then I got Larry in Iowa, who's got a
Right.
shop, and his son's going to be taking over here. I would probably say they're 3 to 5 years behind me and my dad.
You're talking about Larry Goff.
Larry Goff, yeah.
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 Yeah. Well, it's wonderful
And
to have that kind of support.
yeah, his son's awesome. And I can see his son really running the business well. So everybody is successful in one way or the other. One thing that Brian in my group was envious about is Travis and John, because they were never technicians, and in our group, they're the 2 shops that have just numbers that are through the roof.
Well, like you and I were talking about earlier, Christoph, ideally a shop owner is not a technician.
Yeah.
That way they can't get sucked into the back.
Yeah.
And they don't think like technicians.
No. So I've been thinking about that a lot lately. And I mean, like I said, I enjoy working on my own cars and I enjoy working on cars, but I was never really, I see what my technicians can do now and how good they are and at diagnostics and whatnot. And I was never at that level. I didn't want to be at that level. I wanted to be a business person. That's why I did all this other stuff.
Right.
That's why I initially started studying business. That's why my whole bookshelf, my wife's being an English teacher, we read a lot, and we push each other to read more and more books. But I read business books, I try to read a dozen books a year, and so far I've read like 3 books this year. But like I read one book called The Good Enough Job, just finished it. It was basically on work-life balance,
Yeah, which is important. But hold on one second, Tony, we got to do a station break, don't we?
We do. We have to do a little station break. Next Friday, we're going to have a great show because it's going to be Jim Saley, and he is one of our Drive senior speakers. He's also a workshop instructor. He does shop inspection. He's the manager of the inspection area. He is a great guy, and he has tons of knowledge. And with him, we will also have John Starkey, who we were just talking about a moment ago. So John will be with us on next Friday, and Christoph will be texting him, like chatting him in the Facebook.
That's right. You get to return that.
And then, of course, we have an expo coming up in June, so let's not forget that. And I think that's all I got.
Yeah. Now, one last thing, Christoph, before we have to sign off here, I just want to talk about training and ongoing training and how important that is, not only for the technicians, but for yourself.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing. I think as a business owner, you have to. It's a requirement to keep pushing yourself and learning, because our industry is constantly evolving, which is, I'm speaking to the choir, but it's changing so much. And like, for example, electric, and then for the same thing with the technicians, we work on electric vehicles, and Dennis in my group is actually in my top 20 group is doing a electric training at his shop for his technicians. And I would like to do the same thing. And same with my service advisors. I haven't been taking advantage of what Drive has to offer, but I did put one of my service advisors in training with Larry on Thursday, and I have the other one signed up for another one next week. I have one, so I really started hitting that.
Yeah, continual education. It's a must. It's a must, because as you just said, it's an ever-changing industry, and it always has been, and it always will be. We're right up against the hour here. Christoph, I want to thank you so much for joining us. be sure to say hi to your dad and mom for me.
I will.
Yeah, I've known him a long
Mhm.
time, and
I'm skiing right now, actually. So
yeah. Yeah, we wish you nothing but success. You know, you got to start your succession plan.
Now's the time.
Now's the time.
yeah.
It's never too late and it's never too early.
That's right. That's right.
It was good to
All
see you,
right.
man.
Yeah. So once again, thanks
Yeah.
everybody for tuning in to this week's edition of Drive Facebook Live, and we'll see you all next week.